everyone, my name is Sister Evangeline and I am a novice with the Sisters of St. Francis of Perpetual Adoration.
Hi, my name is Rachel and I'm a postulant with the Sisters of St. Francis of Perpetual Adoration, and I just want to share with you a little bit about how the Lord has drawn me deeper into His love.
So today I just want to tell you about some of what Christ has done in my life.
So I grew up in this beautiful Catholic family and we practiced our faith, went to Mass together, celebrated the sacraments, and even as a young child I remember really loving the Lord.
I grew up in a wonderful Catholic family. I was blessed to go to Catholic school from kindergarten through 12th grade.
Religion was my favorite class when I was in first grade at the Catholic school. So I don't ever remember not loving Him or being in relationship with Him or praying. But I definitely didn't know what that meant, to be in relationship with the Lord.
I remember being in my sophomore year of high school, and that was when I really had an encounter with Christ that really stands out in my memory.
When I got into high school, I found myself getting really involved in all sorts of really great activities. I was taking the hardest classes that I possibly could take and doing all sorts of extracurriculars and trying to spend a lot of time with as many friends as I could find. And these were all very good things, but I quickly found myself very overwhelmed and anxious about what was going on and what I was doing, which was basically because I was trying to put my identity in these different activities and define myself by my successes rather than my relationship with the Lord.
So when I was 16, I started going to youth group more often. My faith had always been important to me, but that was really when I took ownership of it and really claimed it. And so I got to meet all these wonderful Catholic friends, and that summer we went to a youth conference together at Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio.
So one of the activities that I was involved in was a high school youth group, but I remember specifically one of the retreats my sophomore year of high school. I was praying before the Lord and just had this moment of realization that He didn't want this anxiety that I was living. He wanted me to define myself by my relationship with Him rather than by these activities that I was involved in. And I knew He was desiring a deeper intimacy with me, and I wanted that as well. But honestly, I had no idea what that meant or how to go about it.
And so there are these big youth conferences every summer, and there's about 2,000 high schoolers and chaperones, and they have speakers, and then really the culmination of the conference is the night Adoration. And it's just an amazing experience to be with like 2,000 other high schoolers who love Christ, and yeah, just being there with them and like the Holy Spirit just being just so present. And I remember we were singing this song, "Everything I am, everything I long to be, I lay it down at your feet." And it was a song that we just kept repeating that refrain. And I remember sitting there and I'm like, gosh, I really wish I could sing this right now. This is a really beautiful prayer. And there was a voice in my head that was like, well, what are you afraid of?
So at the end of this weekend, I told the Lord, all right, I can give you like a greater involvement in this youth group. So that was my resolution. And basically what that meant for me was I started going to their weekly holy hours before the Blessed Sacrament on Saturday nights and their Sunday night meetings. So it was like maybe 3 hours in my week that I was giving to the Lord more intentionally. So I started getting more involved in this youth group, and I started spending more time before the Blessed Sacrament, especially in Eucharistic adoration. And the Lord just definitely drew me a lot deeper through that experience. He began to speak to me more and more intimately, and I began to desire more times with Him in prayer. And I began to have these beautiful relationships, these friendships with other students in my youth group that called me on to holiness and invited me to pray more and to love the Lord more.
Like, well, what am I really afraid of? Like, God's will is what's best for me. So I would describe like the next moment as like a moment of just complete surrender and just a beautiful moment of like, okay, God, I'm gonna let you have everything because I trust you enough that you're gonna do such beautiful things with this. So we just kept singing that refrain, everything I am, everything I long to be, I lay it down at your feet. And I really feel like that's what I did. And I remember coming home and like that peace and that joy and that freedom really followed me home. And that was just such a beautiful summer to just live in that freedom.
Because slowly I was beginning to learn how to seek my identity in the Lord rather than in what I was doing. And certainly this change did not occur overnight. I think it was like 2 years before I even really realized that things were different, because the Lord was calling me very slowly.
Yeah, and I soon realized that like a surrender is not just a one-time thing. It's something that's every day, waking up every day and deciding to live for Christ. And so I would challenge you to dare to ask that question of what is God's will for my life, and to really just surrender your will to Him. It's such a beautiful life. It's led me to the convent, which I never would have thought that would have happened. That was never my plan.
So grace moves, grace builds on grace, and my conversion certainly is little and slow, little moments of resolution that I think have led to a big change in my life. So I just invite you to ask the Lord where He's desiring you to make that small little change, to grow deeper in intimacy with Him, because I promise you the Lord does want to bring you deeper. And what a beautiful gift that the Lord desires more for us.